Hello, my name is Chris Harrell. Welcome to this Crusades escape room game designed for high school freshmen in my world history class. This choose your own adventure style game will test students' knowledge about the Crusades during the High Middle Ages in order to escape. I've included a few notes for learners before starting, such as entering full screen and turning the audio on. It is also important to wait for the presentation to load fully so that all the audio clips and interactivity function properly. Let's get started by clicking Click to Play. The scenario for the game is this. Our story begins after the Second Crusade, but before the Third Crusade in 1187 AD, after Saladin and the Muslims have recaptured Jerusalem from the Crusaders. Students will take on the role of Frank, our French knight who was taken prisoner. In order to escape captivity, you must solve riddles and answer questions about the Crusades and the plight of Islam. On this slide, you can see the attribution for the scenes and characters that come from storyboard.com with a link provided. This is in accordance with fair use and their website's policy. Now that you understand the scenario, let's click Next to play. We find ourselves in a dimly lit dungeon with objects that may help us. Here, students must problem solve in order to light the torches on the wall. The idea is to interact with the unlit torch on the ground. When they click there, they'll be brought to the next scene. If they click elsewhere, they'll see slide 4 with the hint. Now, let's go ahead and click on the unlit torch and see what happens. Here you can see Frank has the torch but no way to light it. The pot is the objective that needs to be clicked. Anything else would bring you to another slide giving you a hint. Let's go ahead and click on the oil and proceed to slide 7. Students will click back in order to go find the item that they need, or they can simply go here and you can see that they need to make a decision. To dip the torch in the oil or to cry uncontrollably at the desperation of the situation they find themselves in. If the student decides to choose to cry, then we'll see slide 10, where they will die of starvation and forced to start over. So we'll go ahead, click the torch, click the pot, go back. Now, let's go ahead and choose to dip the torch in oil and see what happens. So you have an unlit torch, and you have your first content challenge. Students have already read Pope Urban's speech and should be familiar with the Crusaders' battle cry, God wills it, as hinted at the bottom banner. In Latin, this phrase is Deus vult. By saying this phrase, they will move on to the next phase. If they get it wrong, they are advised to consider Pope Urban's speech. So, I'm going to click Deus vult, and look at that. The slide brightens and the dungeon brightens itself a bit, and they are rewarded by getting their answer correct. To proceed, they must click on one of the torches on the wall, the original objective of level 1. If they click elsewhere, they are shown to interact with the items to shed light on the situation. So let's click on the torches and see what happens. Now that the scene is illuminated, Franks begins shouting for help. You can advance by clicking anywhere but the guide button says keep shouting. So now you've made it to level 2. Here you will match wits with a Muslim guard, Yusuf, by answering his 3 questions, proving your knowledge of Islam. Let's proceed by clicking next. Students must choose the correct answer to the question, who created Islam? Clicking the wrong choice will prompt the guard to exit and leave Frank to rot in the dungeon. You can see that whenever I click Kevin, the incorrect choice. Now, by responding Muhammad, you'll advance to round 2 on slide 21. This slide, or this question, involves a 360 interactive video. I'll go ahead and click play to help students answer correctly. Just like round 1, incorrect answers spell Frank's demise. Let's answer correctly by clicking on the Dome of the Rock. Now, we saw the Crusaders' battle cry with the lighting of the torch. Here we look at the Muslims' battle cry. Wrong answer equals lonely dungeon grave, so let's see what the right answer prompts us by clicking Jihad. Your knowledge of Islam has been rewarded and Yusuf permits you to leave. Let's click next. The level up sound effect indicates that you have reached level 3. Meant to give the learners that little dopamine rush when they get an accomplishment in a video game. Click Next to continue. Here our learners must make a choice. The door on the left goes to level 3, the door on the right goes to a dead end. Let's visit the dead end just to see what it looks like. Frank has happened across a sleeping Cerberus. You can choose to turn back to safety, or you can choose to slay the beast with your bare hands. Let's go ahead and choose this one. You see the Cerberus killed you very, very easily, so we're going to click go back, and we're going to choose the path on the left. Frank has reached the yield stairs of righteousness and must answer 5 questions correctly in a row to reach the top. His first question is, what are the Crusades singing about? This YouTube video is a recreation of an actual song sung by German Crusaders on the way to Jerusalem. By listening to the song and reading subtitles, they will have to discern the meaning behind the lyrics. Let's give it a quick listen. Now, the answers are represented using math equations to appeal to those mathematical learners on Gardner's spectrum of MI. The wrong choice has disastrous consequences for Frank. Let's select Jews equals enemies to see. Okay, that was wrong, so let's click back by going back. So if you read the subtitles in the video, you can start to get a sense that this is holy, sacred land for Christians, as is the birthplace of Christ, as well as his crucifixion and resurrection. So we're going to go ahead and click the correct choice, Middle East equals sacred Christian lands, and move on to question number 2. Question 2 asks students to read an excerpt from Pope Urban's speech to discern the promise he made to all those who answered his call for a crusade. We're going to click the red banner to view the speech excerpt. And after reading the first sentence, it should be clear that Urban promised the remission of sins to those that answered the call. So let's go back to question 2, select remission of sins. This gets us to question 3, which examines the effects of the Crusades by asking which was not a Crusader state in the Middle East after the First Crusade. The green banner provides a hint for students that do not know / need a reminder. By clicking the banner, we are brought to a map that shows the 4 Crusader states. Here we can see they are Edessa, Antioch, Tripoli, and Jerusalem. Now let's go back and use the process of elimination to select Syria as the correct answer. Remember that if you get it wrong, you go back to the first stair. To further promote geographic literacy, students will now use Google Earth and the measure tool in order to see just how far Frank traveled to join the Crusades before being captured. Click the green banner to access Google Earth and chart Frank's course to find out how far we went. Now, I would do this if I weren't overseas and you would see it, but I'm afraid that the internet is not good enough. So we're going to go ahead and cheat, and we're going to get the correct answer at approximately 2,200 miles. Here is your final question. Students must identify who the Crusades' ally was for most of this period. Choosing incorrectly will result in death and going back to question 1, as well as a hint to guide them towards the correct response. So here, I'll go ahead and show you the hint, right? You can see it gives you the 4 options with a little bitty hint. I'm going to go quickly through this. So you can see, now we're back here and we see the Byzantine Empire was made up of Orthodox Christians, the most probable choice. So, we made it, and we've reached the next level. Now it's time for the final challenge. Click to continue, and students must choose what the primary cause of the Crusades were, but they must do so from both perspectives, Christian and Muslim, in order to get it correct. The correct answer choice is faith, as both sides were driven primarily by religious duty and faith. So we're going to select faith, and you will reach the congratulations screen, and they realize they have escaped. Now they have a final choice to make, which will determine how the game ends. Go home or rejoin the fight. Let's rejoin the fight. By rejoining the fight, students will see that Frank has joined the 4th Crusade and attacked Constantinople. Charge! Oh no, Frank died, sacking the capital of the Byzantine Empire. The game was over. Now this is the sad ending. So let's go back to the congratulations screen and see the happy ending. Frank goes back to his family in Clermont, France, and lives happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Crusader Room game. Thanks for watching.